Hi, I'm Susan Shaner, and I'm your host today of Community Forum. And I have the great pleasure to have with me Veronica Marr, who calls herself the Human Evolution Facilitator. Welcome, Veronica.
Thank you, Susan.
So I want to make sure our guests know this is not to be confused with the movie or the TV show Veronica Marr.
Well, I can usually get a little run for my money on that one, but no, I'm not affiliated with the TV show.
The TV show.
Yeah.
So tell our viewers, what do you mean by being a human evolution facilitator?
Well, I think it's important to back up and actually understand what human evolution is. And human evolution is based on the concept that humanity, all life, all human beings are coded to evolve. And we know this, science shows us that we obviously have evolved right from the very beginning when life started in the ocean. And so we've come from that, and we have, we started in the ocean, then we came onto land, and suddenly we were walking upright. And then we graduated. Somehow we got from the Neanderthal stage to the Homo sapien stage. And how did that happen? And where we are today, suddenly we're here today. We're intelligent, we're conscious. And several thousand years ago, humans had the ability to actually self-reflect. And so we were able to stand back and look at the choices that we've made and how it impacts our life and our societies and all of that. And so when you look back throughout history in terms of evolution, something has driven us along the way. And what guided us to come from where we started to where we are now? So human evolution now, we have the opportunity to be more conscious of the direction that we're going in. And so from that kind of foundation, that is where the human evolution movement has started.
Okay, so let's back up for a minute.
Okay.
Because you're starting really global around
Yeah.
All of humanity has evolved. Of course we've evolved over centuries, but we're talking about this point in time. So you're talking about the fact that as human beings, we evolve, right? Just
Yes.
like other creatures. And what makes us different is that we have the capacity to think consciously, unlike other creatures, as far as we know.
Yes.
So, and you're saying now, we're at a point now in our history where, how is this different than other times?
Well, here's how it's different, is that we have evolved throughout millions and millions of years to where we are today. And everything prior to the past several thousand years, we just happened to evolve. It just suddenly happened that we evolved from living in the ocean to walking upright. Well, now we have the opportunity to evolve by choice. So we actually can step back and reflect on, okay, what have we created here on this planet Earth? And do we like what we've created? And if we don't like what we've created, let's go ahead and make some different choices.
So it sounds like you're talking about the difference between when you use the analogy of evolving out of the ocean, that's biological evolution.
Yes.
But right now you're talking about consciousness, mental, spiritual evolution versus biological evolution.
It's really one and the same in that biological evolution is what has been the spiral, that has guided us, from the biological evolution to conscious evolution. That we still have that driving force within us, but now we have consciousness as part of that equation. So now we can actually consciously evolve and say, okay, we're going to make some different choices here.
Well, so you said we happen to have evolved. I don't know. I mean, scientists maybe would have said that it's not that we happen to evolve. It was survival of the fittest or whatever. We modified, we adapted. you know, the strongest kind of evolved. I guess we could take this in a lot of different directions because it's such a broad topic. But,
sure.
But you know, now there's a lot of burgeoning fields like epigenetics, which says that we're not our DNA, that we have the capacity to consciously go in and our thoughts can change our biology.
Yes.
So it's kind of debunking Darwin's theory of evolution a little bit.
Yes, truly.
I know Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, he left the academic field because people thought he was a quack, basically. But his research proved that this is the case, and we're now seeing that there's a lot of proof or validation that our thoughts and our emotions can affect our body, and I think that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. Bruce Lipton is a great example, the cell biologist, and it is true. He's really a pioneer. He's on the new frontier. He's the cutting edge of conscious evolution or the human evolution movement.
Yeah, so when you say you're a human evolution facilitator, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm not really sure what I mean by that.
Well, if you don't know, I don't know. But let's see. What does that sound
We'll
like?
explore a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So really, when we think of evolution in general, when we take it down to ourselves and we look at how we have evolved and the choices that we make along the way, well, in order for us to reach this level of real inner power so that we can affect serious change within ourselves and within life, we have to do some cleanup work within ourselves.
Oh yeah.
You know, and very often it takes, well, very often people don't even get to the cleanup work because they're so busy living life, or they're paralyzed by how they grew up, and so they're not even able to, you know, to move beyond that. But assuming that we have some space and time to do that quality of inner work and clean up a lot of stuff, you know, heal the old wounds and, you know, reprogram our thinking, then, you know, we can actually affect change in a more powerful way.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because I think a lot of just human nature is, I mean, if we look at how biologically we're wired, is to remove ourselves from danger and to seek comfort. And so to do that cleanup work can be very difficult and very painful. And I think that that's why we have, at least in the United States, you know, a lot of people that are numbing themselves out, either through drugs, alcohol, whatever, the internet, you know, whatever their drug of choice is, because they don't want to do that work, because it's hard work.
It is.
It really requires discipline and a lot of support if you're really going to do that inner cleanup work. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that people either do one of two things. They either really fall off the cliff, in other words, they get lost within themselves and within society, or they go deep. And it does require great courage and professional support. Very often, generally, that's how it starts, is that you seek professional support.
Usually somebody has a crisis, because most people fight it, or they don't want to look at it.
Yes, very often there's a crisis. There's an accident, an illness, or something that happens that, you know, that stops, invites people to stop, you know, just stop and take a look and question, you know, what is this life all about? Who am I? Yeah. You know, and how do I feel within myself from moment to moment? What is the quality of energy that I'm holding within the body? And really, what are my thoughts? So, you know.
So being conscious and mindful and present.
Absolutely. Conscious, mindful, and present. Yeah. And so really, when I call myself a human evolution facilitator, really I am still always going through this process myself, but I have assisted other people over the years really on that journey as well. And I've used, you know, different modalities, and one of them is one really strong teacher is Eckhart Tolle.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about
Power
Eckhart.
of Now.
Yes,
Yeah.
Power of Now. A New Earth is another book that he wrote. What I love about him as a teacher is that he provides, especially in the book A New Earth, just a beautiful framework for where humanity has come from, human evolution, and how we have evolved and how we've developed all of our belief systems, our personal belief systems, our collective belief systems, our national, belief ideas of the way nations operate. And
it's so interesting how much our culture, our families, our school, all our systems, educational system, our capitalistic system, conditions us, and in many ways that we're not consciously aware of on a daily basis, and we operate and make choices from those paradigms.
Absolutely. That's the way most of us operate. And just getting back to what you said, it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of focus and time, but the benefits are tremendous.
Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart, but it is a journey that, according to the Course in Miracles, which we can talk about in just a moment, it is a journey that everyone will take at some point.
Yeah.
That is part of being human, is that we're all meant to take this journey, this inward journey.
So you said you do this work. I know kind of your day job, how you earn a living, is basically you've been an entrepreneur most of your adult life, right?
Yes, I have.
So can you just give us a quick blurb on that, and then how you came to this work and how that blends in?
Oh, well, it's interesting. Let's see, I've always been a very creative person. I studied psychology when I was in school, when I was in college. After college, I ended up becoming an interior designer. And I knew that I always had the capacity to do that, so I pursued that. And it's kind of, but in the background, my real work has been what we're talking about today.
So in other words, yes, you've earned a living as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
But in terms of what I might call more of your calling in life, is doing your own work and helping people do their own psychological and spiritual work. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've after so many years, I've come to the point where I feel as though I've got enough inner space to actually assist other people, and also to work with other groups that understand that we now have the capacity and the choice to help humanity evolve. Right now, I'm sure most people would agree that there's a lot of turbulence going on in the world.
Oh, you noticed?
Yeah, on every level, and truly, we're just about to either fall off the cliff,
devolve or evolve.
That's right.
We're at a critical point.
Exactly. And so really the way that the world has always operated is based upon competition and struggle.
Yeah.
And now we have this opportunity to stand back and consciously make a different choice, not only for ourselves personally, collectively as well.
So when you say you now have inner space, I think I know what you mean, but can you go into more detail about what you mean by that and how you got there for our listeners?
Ooh, okay. So being quiet, or finding that place of inner quiet within, does take some time. And very often, as we discussed, it takes often years of getting through a lot of stuff until we come to a place within ourselves that we find an inner quiet. And if we can find that inner quiet and we can stabilize that inner quiet, then there's an opening that happens from within the mind. And also we do feel it. It's actually an energetic feeling within the physical body. And when we feel this, we realize, well, first of all, the energy that is generated from the body, whether we have this inner space or we acknowledge it or not, is measurable. This energy that surrounds the body, and science is really able to measure the quality of energy that is emitted from a person.
So that's actually your electromagnetic field.
Yes, it is.
And that's where, like, Kirlian photography actually can take a picture and look at your electromagnetic field.
Yes.
And so depending, most people have it, it could be anywhere from 3 to 9 feet around you.
Excellent. Yes.
So can you share with us, what are some tools and processes that were instrumental in enabling you to get to this place?
Well, I would have to say it was, first of all, many years of just sorting through, the childhood, and sorting through all of the programming of the family that came from the family, being able to unwind from that and unplug from all of that so that you feel a sense of freedom, so that you're not so reactive to things that might remind you of what you experienced that was negative as a child. And so, you go through that process, and then eventually you find some freedom and some relief, and you experience more joy and more peace and more trust and all of these things that we're all entitled to as human beings, but we're so, very often we're just so stuck that we don't even get to that place.
So you're saying some of it for you has been what I might call a traditional psychotherapeutic healing process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And really, it requires a lot of. It's an inward journey, and you have to be committed to it. And the longer and the more one is, the more open you become, and more free, from within. And from that level of freedom, then you understand that you have more power in the world to affect change.
Yeah, so let's talk for a minute. So I said, what like tools or processes? So some of it, therapy, as an example.
Therapy.
What about meditation?
Meditation is a huge component.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge component. Just a very basic meditation of breathing, taking 2 or 3 conscious breaths when you're at your desk or when you're in your car. I mean, it just begins in a very small way. But meditation is a transformational tool.
Oh yeah, I teach yoga meditation.
That's right.
So for you, do you have a daily meditation practice, and do you use a particular method for that?
I do have a daily meditation practice, and yes, I do really have a particular method that I use, and it is transcendental meditation, which I learned when I was many years ago. When I was 31, so it was 25 years ago. I have to add how long ago that was.
And so they say do that for 20 minutes twice a day. Is that what you do?
Yes. No, I do it once a day, and I meditate anywhere from an hour to 2 hours.
Every single day?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, some days when I can't, then I'll do 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But typically I like to put aside that chunk of time. Very often it takes 30 minutes or 40 minutes for the mind just to quiet down.
So for you, you're just sitting and watching your thoughts go by.
Yes, watching the thoughts and the feelings and not reacting to them. And until I come to this place where it starts to get real quiet, and then suddenly there's this opening. And from this opening, then that's where we can really begin to affect change. But it's not just in that way. Well, I know that you wanted to talk about the processes. So the modalities, certainly meditation is one of them, psychotherapy is another one. I was a student of A Course in Miracles ever since I was in my mid-20s, so for over 30 years. And that is a self-study course, and it's really about deprogramming the mind.
Yeah.
Understanding that it was, programmed, a belief system was inserted into the mind by the family, the culture, the society, all of that, preacher, teacher, all of it.
Yeah.
And then just unwinding from that, and then actually coming to the place where we overlay truths about who we are. And one of them is that we are energetic beings, and the thoughts and beliefs that we hold have power, not only within our physical bodies, but also all around us.
Yeah.
So that as I heal my mind, I'm actually sending out energy into the world and igniting a spark within the minds and hearts of other people. So that they too
So
can
let me
heal.
ask you this. So I'm a fan. I mean, I believe. But what would you say to people who say, "Really?
Okay.
Like whatever you're thinking,
Yes.
you're like affecting people."
Well, actually,
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say to that is, it's science.
Yeah.
15 years ago or even 20 years ago, you really couldn't say it's There is empirical research evidence proving that it absolutely has measurable power.
So do you have some studies?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So one of them is an organization called the Institute for Noetic Science,
yeah,
also known as IONS, IONS.com. They've been doing research since the 1970s, and one of their ongoing studies is based on a random number generator, and these are machines that are planted around the world in very strategic spots, and to measure, these machines actually are just random number generators. They're digital numbers. They operate very, very quickly, and they're just total chaos. None of them around the world ever line up. None of the numbers ever speak to each other in any coherent way. However, when there is a global event where most people around the world know at the same time that an event has happened, what happens to these random number generators? The numbers all start to line up. They all start to line up.
That's fascinating. So what does that mean?
Well, that means, I mean, it's implied. What it really means is that our thoughts are all tied in together. All of our thoughts.
Yeah,
are tied
I know.
in.
There's a thought that if 1% of the population was aligned in meditating, let's say on peace at the same time,
yes,
we would have a consciousness shift on the planet.
That is human evolution.
Like,
there.
Have you read the book, The 100th Monkey?
Yes.
So just for our viewers, what that is about do you want to explain what that is?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
About how there was a species of monkey that got in its head to go down to the river and wash its food. Another monkey saw it, did the same thing, and then when suddenly all the monkeys in the village were washing their food down by the river. And when that happened in this one village, then all of a sudden all of the monkeys in this species around the world were washing their food down by the river, saying that it was a consciousness energetic shift. And so that's what they say, if we could get just 1% of people on the planet meditating, which would be, what do we have, like 7 billion people on the planet or something? Which would be like, what would that be, like
700 million?
700,000 people, if we could get all of them aligned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're reaching a crescendo right now,
Yeah.
a tipping point in every way. I mean, we're just really about to fall off the cliff, or we're on the verge of really just becoming a whole new way of, a whole new humanity, a new way of living and being on this planet.
Well, because we know every major institution, whether it's political, business, educational, is realigning itself because it doesn't work. So we're definitely at a critical point, but it can be overwhelming for people. So people are either in so much anxiety or utter despair, or angry or violent. So this kind of birthing the new world is a little painful, just like regular labor.
Just like a regular birth.
So, so since it's overwhelming for people, what would you recommend that an individual could do to try to do something? Because when things are overwhelming, people feel like it's out of control. They don't know what to do.
Well, really, the most important thing to do is to take a few moments every day by yourself alone, to turn off all of the noise, the television, the cell phone, the radio, whatever it is. Turn all the noise off, and just sit by yourself. And even if you don't want to close your eyes, that's okay. But just breathe very deeply into the center of the body. And it's extremely helpful if, when you do that, after the second or third breath, go into that fourth breath and imagine that you're actually breathing through your heart, back and forth, in and out, right from the heart. And then if you can take another step and just imagine a person or a situation that you really appreciate, something that you love that's near and dear to you, or someone. It could be an animal, it could be a place that you've traveled to. Just envisioning that and breathing that in and out through your heart. Now, just that alone actually changes the electromagnetism of the brain. Literally. It goes from the heart to the brain, and then it goes all the way through the body. Yes.
Well, they say that the electromagnetic field of the heart is actually stronger than the brain, and I think that exercise that you just gave is a heart math provider exercise, isn't it?
Yes.
For heart coherence?
Yes, it is. It's a quick coherence technique that was developed by HeartMath, and you and I both know about HeartMath.
Yeah.
And it's heartmath.com.
.org. Yes.
Yes, and there's so much research about the electromagnetism of the heart, which, by the way, is 60 times more. It generates, the amplitude of that is 60 times greater than that of the brain or any other organ in the body.
So can I just share one quick thing about that, which was amazing when I went and got certified as a heart math provider, as I know you are?
Yes.
They told us the research, like for 9/11, because they were measuring the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and they were doing this study for like 20 years. And they saw like the director of research when I was out there showed us the study, that 2 hours before 9/11, that the Earth's electromagnetic field spiked. So it was as if the Earth in asynchronous time knew this was going to happen. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So it just shows how connected we are both ways, us to the Earth to us. What do you, we've got about another minute. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that science is just beginning to really explore the power that we really are. I mean, we human beings are just powerful in our thoughts, and these physical bodies are so powerful, and when we actually come from a place of love, and the heart is always the place to start, because it can never misguide us. No matter who you are or what you may have done in life or not done, the heart is extremely honest and noble and pure. And so breathing from this place, imagining that yes, humanity is beautiful and that we are actually transforming from a place of competition and struggle to a place of cooperation and peace.
Okay, on that note, if anybody, let's hope so, because otherwise we won't survive as a species. So if anybody anything you said tonight sparked anybody, how might they get in touch with you to learn more?
Okay, well, they could email me, and the email address is my name, which is Veronica Marr, M-A-R-R, the number 4, at gmail.com.
Okay, Veronica Marr 4 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Veronica.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Susan Shaner with Community Forum. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.